And welcome to the seventh episode of Articulate Thoughts, personal blog of Adriel Choa. Today is Tuesday, October 4th, and it is very, very exciting for me today. Right now, I'm in between jobs, so I used to work at Boston Pizza, and now I'm going to be switching over to the keg starting tomorrow. And that's very, very exciting news for me because serving is something I really enjoy. I love doing it, and it's kind of been like a dream job of mine. I really enjoy it, and um, it's been a long ways in me kind of putting this kind of dream together, and it started off back in 2008. And I was in a psychiatric ward, and really bad place in my life, and just being in that situation kind of forced me to clarify what I wanted out of life, and I just had this image. I started building this dream in my head, and one of the main parts was me getting a really solid serving gig where, serving and making good money. And I feel that this new position at the keg is going to fulfill that section of my dream. So I'm really excited to start, and just to be in a different environment where, just working in probably the best of best as far as chain restaurants go. And it's it's been quite the journey to get here. And I think for like a lot of people, they see it on the outside and they just kind of see it, what's happening on the surface. And there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and how I'm piecing this together and how I was able to make this happen. Um, it was no accident. I just kind of learned a lot of different techniques, and exposed to a lot of different materials, and helping me clarify what I wanted and how to get these things. And today I'm gonna share one of those techniques that I was taught. So this one might seem a little bit out there, but rest assured, like there are benefits to it, and like I could explain the different components of it. So basically, this has to do with the new moon cycles. So every month there's a new moon cycle and a full moon cycle, and September was actually one of those unusual months where on September 1st was a new moon cycle, and then 2 weeks later was a full moon cycle, and on September 30th was another new moon cycle. So that's a little bit of a rare thing, but it's just something interesting I pointed out. I'm not sure if that's really significant, but just took note of it. So anywho, so we're actually in a new moon cycle right now, the first week of it. So I'm actually currently doing this exercise. Today I'll be doing the fifth day of it, or fourth day. No, yeah, the fourth day. Wait, sorry, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah, so the fifth day. Um, so basically, what you do is you try to think of your desire and you clarify it, and you try to shrink it down into one phrase. And then it's kind of best to shorten the phrase as short as possible, because you're going to be writing it 70 times for 7 days. So in total, you'd be writing it 490 times. So on September 1st, I clarified my desire into the word abundance. So on the new moon cycle, so September 1st, I took up a sheet of paper, and I wrote down abundance 70 times. And then the next day, I wrote again abundance 70 times. And then I just did that for a full week. And you might seem like it might seem like a little bit of a weird thing, but it's just something that does work. The way it was explained to me was the human body is made of 70% water. The earth itself is made about 70% water. And there's like a correlation between that number 7. And then there's a correlation between the gravitational pull of the moon and water itself. And if you've ever been to somewhere where there's the ocean, maybe somewhere on the west coast in like Vancouver area, Vancouver Islands, or maybe you visited the Maritimes out east in Canada, and you'll notice, like, if you go somewhere in the beginning of the day, you see the scenery of the ocean and it looks one way, and you go back to the same spot later that day and the tide will have been, it's different. It's gonna, like, the water is gonna be pulled back or pulled in. And I think that's kind of proof that there is some kind of gravitational pull, or like the moon does affect water in certain ways. And because our body is 70% water, like we're affected by that too as human beings. And like there's again like there's no solid scientific evidence behind it, but there is, just experience. I do this exercise, and the results seem to come in. Another point that was pointed out when this explained to me was there's certain things that you can't really explain, that science can't explain, but it does happen. A good example of this is water freezes at sub-zero temperatures. Why does that happen? Scientists can't explain that, but they just know. And with that piece of information and that observation, we're able to utilize that in a lot of different ways. From, when you go to a restaurant, get ice in your drink, and that's, utilize that piece of knowledge. So doing this thing, I don't know exactly the origins of it or who figured it out, but it does work. If you write, new moon cycle, and you write down your desire 70 times on a piece of paper, do that for 7 days. And let's just put all this like moon cycle stuff aside and all those other things. I think it's just very beneficial to take the time once a month to just sit down and clarify what it is you do want, and to write that down on a piece of paper. There's something very magical about writing. It kind of articulates, like, a thought or a feeling, and you compress into a word, and then you write it on a piece of paper, where you have to put more effort and focus into that one particular idea or phrase. And it's just kind of training your brain to focus on what it is you want. And I think in this day and age, it's so easy to get pulled into, different ideas, and to buy into, what you should want because everybody else wants it. And in a lot of cases, a lot of people kind of feel, you know, in a strange place in life because they don't know what they want. And then they have all these exterior forces, like the media outlets or their parents or their teachers or the government or whoever, telling you what you should want for yourself. And I think it could be very confusing, and it could be a struggle to identify what is it you want specifically as an individual. I know for the first 20 years of my life, I struggled with this a lot. And, you know, there was a lot of stress in my early 20s over this, because I felt like I wanted one thing, and all these things around me were telling me to desire something else. And I never really gave credence to what I really wanted for myself. And then it wasn't until, I hit a bad point. I was in a psychiatric ward. I attempted suicide and did all this other crazy stuff to try and escape all of that. But it all worked out in the end. I mean, like, it was just one of the growing pains I had to go through, and I feel I'm in a much better spot. In fact, I feel like this is probably the best part of my life, and I think this is one of the reasons I'm doing these video blogs and just kind of share my experiences, and hopefully help other people with it. So yeah, so today's the seventh episode, and the whole 7 things, 7 days, 70 writing your desire 70 times. There's a whole theme behind it and all that. So I hope it all connected really well and flowed smoothly. If there was some kind of miscommunication or something you're not really clear on, feel free to drop me a message or write a comment, and then I'll try to help clarify, or help you out however I can. So thank you again for your time, for listening to this video, and hope it was something helpful or something just interesting to consider at the very least. So wish you guys all the best, and take care, and I'll see you next week.